Yeah, sorry, it took me a second to get this one ready. Episode 130, here we are. Cool, welcome, David. Good evening to see you. How was your walk yesterday? I heard from Heidi that you were there, so that's pretty cool. Karen, good evening. Good evening to you. Lee, how are you? Let me get Instagram fired up. I forgot to start Instagram. So the Instagram people are probably wondering what's going on. Katie checking in from Tallahassee. Very nice. Let's see. Jody, good evening to you. Denise from Fort Gordon, Georgia. April's out of Georgia as well. Very nice. Karen out of Long Island. Tejas. Denise checking in. Elise from Wheaton. Always good to see Elise. Angie's here. Good evening to you. All kinds of folks joining in on Instagram as well. So for those of you new, so we do dual. I got two devices going. We got the iPad running here, getting me Facebook Live, and then over here we have Instagram on the iPhone. Stacy from California is on Instagram. So, I like what Lee just wrote. I'm going to scroll around for a second, but because I missed a couple of folks checking in. I think we got Charlotte checking in, Danielle from Nebraska. Charlotte's out of Arkansas, Iowa. Angela's checking in. Lee is in. Good evening. And Lee said he's up 1.8, but it's all good because he's still down 123.2. What a great way to frame it, right? LaDonna out of Minnesota. Good evening. Terry out of LA. Let's see. Yeah, David said the walk was good. It was a little on the slow side. So that was the same challenge I had, right? As we went, our walk was a walk. And so I'm used to doing a 5K with you, David. You know, when we run, we like to get it in. But it was fun just to hang out. You know, I did a Facebook Live. You guys saw it in the app. I did a Facebook Live during the entire walk. So my arm was kind of tired because I was literally holding the phone. I went and looked today at one of those little camera stabilizer things. You know, it's like $300, but I thought if I ever did that again, that would be better because as I went back to watch the video, even I got tired of this, you know, and I was like, okay, I can't keep doing this. So my thought was, okay, never do that again because I'm sure it's obnoxious if you're trying to watch it, and or figure out a way to use technology to make it a little better. But David, I agree with you. It was tough to walk a 5K when you're used to running them, but it was fun for camaraderie though. Liverpool, New York, checking in over on Instagram. Let's see. Linda out of Fort Wayne, good evening. Christy out of Johnstown, Pennsylvania, very nice. West Virginia is checking in from Teresa. You know, Chris is funny. Chris is just down the road. I have no idea how to pronounce where you're from, Chris. Chris says, first of all, I never even heard of it. So Chris is in one of my meetings. So we clearly live close enough to where I should know what town he lives in, but I don't know how to pronounce Chris's town. Nineveh, Indiana. We're gonna tell me this weekend when we see Chris. Another person from Alicia's out of Long Island as well, and Terre Haute. I like it when Terre Haute checks in. Very nice. Let's see. Hola, Brandy checks in. Susan checking in from Hawaii. Very nice. Karen, Utah. Brian's checking in. West Virginia again. Good evening, Chris. Defiance, Ohio. Pat's checking in. Let's see. Roxanne from Illinois. Lee's non-skill victory for the day was 3 strikes and 2 spares in 1 game of bowling. That's pretty fun. I haven't been bowling in forever. Toledo, Ohio. Emily, good evening. Christine from New Jersey over on Instagram. Fun. Becky at Lake Elsinore. Elsinore? I'm going to have to take some geography classes or some pronunciation classes or something. Robin out of Dayton. I got that one. Marietta, Georgia. Jennifer, good evening. So Brian's doing conference calling, right? So looks like Brian has a whole party of folks. So Brian's like, Brian, are you charging admission in your house, right? You should charge them all $3 to sit and watch your internet. So Brian's rehosting the show for a bunch of you. So very fun. I'm so proud of that whole family. They're just getting it done. You know, it's if you guys haven't heard their story, 99 and 100 of the podcast, goes through Megan's email first. It's a really, really cool story. It completely happened the way it was supposed to, but we didn't script any of it. Megan wrote in, and from the time she wrote in to the time I got her email on the air, she is working on getting her dad to join. She did so well on the program that her dad saw the results and he ended up joining. And so the night that I read her email, he was the first time he had heard the podcast, and he's listening live, and I'm reading her email about her dad, which was him. So very, very cool. And then so immediately that night, him and I go back and forth on Twitter for a little bit, and then he shoots me an email that night, and then I bumped that right to the head of the line, put that on episode 100, 101. So between 99 and 101, somewhere in that ballpark. It's just a cool story how that played out. So if you haven't caught that, that's who Brian is. So very, very fun. Let's see. Judy from Canton, Mass. is here. Louisville, Kentucky. Good evening to you. Another Judy. Very fun. Kevin from Monument, Colorado, down 32.6 as of today. Very, very, very nice. Denise says, how about them Astros? I got to tell you, I was rooting for the Yankees only because Chris was rooting for the Yankees. So I was willing to do that for him. So I'm not going to cheer the Astros tonight. Although I'm sure if you're an Astros person, you're very happy. So congratulations to them, right? So there we go. Charlotte says she loved the 5K head bob is what we're going to call it. And she said, bring back Terry. Terry is my leader. I had two leaders. I had two amazing leaders. The first one was actually my meeting room leader. And so Debbie, she was there. She was fantastic. And then somewhere in the middle, Terry and I met up. She found me on Connect, and she realized we lived just down the road. I went to one of her meetings as a guest speaker, and then we just kind of stayed in contact, and then we stayed in contact via text. And then she turned into an additional support network for me, additional leader. And I give her all the credit for changing my mindset. For whatever reason, however she said it, it made more sense to me and it clicked. So Terry is the leader that I credit for completely changing my mindset. And so, yeah, we walked together. And if you watch the 5K, you'll see her pop in quite a bit. She's a super neat gal. So very fun. So, yeah, we joked. I said, how fun would it be to have a podcast? We actually do a show with a host and a co-host and have her as a co-host. And, I was half joking when I said it, but she's awesome. So it might be a really fun show to do that. So we'll see. David says, get a new phone. Trying to think why. I'm trying to think back why you think I should get a new phone, David. You think the phone has the stabilizer in it? Does the iPhone 8 camera stabilize a little bit or no? David is my Apple. David and Kirby. I don't know if Kirby's here yet. David and Kirby are my two Apple gurus. If Apple makes it, sells it, or even is thinking about it, David and Kirby both know about it. Today I did spend all day at the Apple store. Janine and Megan both got upgraded to the iPhone 8. I'm still on a 7, so we'll see. Hey, Heron Bird, 1982 over on Instagram. Angie was down 3.6. That puts you knocking on 40 pounds this coming week with a total weight loss of 37.6 pounds in 6 months. Very nice. Lisa says the live walk was so much fun. Thanks for bringing it to us. So I'm glad to hear that. I was honestly, I was like, I did it early in the morning, and so I knew it would be kind of fun, but I knew there would be a lot of downtime and a lot of just random silliness because I didn't have anything planned. So it was just 45 minutes of me rambling. But we found people as we were walking to interview, right? You saw that, and other people chimed in, and we just had a good time. So I decided after a couple comments, I said, well, I'll just throw that in the app so people can watch it in the app. It's obviously on YouTube. It's on Facebook as well. So they're very, very fun. Yeah, and Terry, of course, was in it. So Shane, hey, good to see you as well. Northeast Pennsylvania, Janet's in here down 60 pounds. Diane, good evening. A couple of Astros fans in here, looks like. Hey, Deb made it in. Deb out of Valpo. So she's in Valparaiso, Indiana. That one I can pronounce. Karen, trying so hard. So focused. You got to stay focused. Shelly out of Tennessee. Santa Rosa checking in. Christine, good evening. Very cool. Feeling lucky that your home was spared from the devastating fires. And yeah, that's awesome. I got to tell you, it's what's interesting, and I did not expect any of this at all. But what's interesting is everything that happens in the world, between the hurricanes and the fires and tornadoes and the unfortunate shooting in Las Vegas. That the audience is growing big enough where it seems like everything that happens in the world, there's at least one person listening that's been impacted by it. And I tell you, that's really focused me differently, because I didn't really, before you'd see this stuff on the news and it brings it a lot more home to me now that I realize that no matter what's going on in the world, I probably have someone that I can relate to on a personal level that's being impacted. So Christine, obviously very, very glad that your home was spared. It's very, very cool. But it's interesting how that's starting to impact my brain, knowing that I know people now who are potentially impacted. It's just different. So Kimber says, I'm hanging onto my lifetime range by the skin of your teeth. Been really tracking and on track again for the last 3 weeks, but the scale isn't moving. Keep working that. The scale will definitely move as long as you're following that. As long as you're following the plan works. So we'll talk about that maybe during the show a little bit. I think I have that into 1:30. Yeah, Chris, I agree with you. Proud of your team no matter what they do. There's a lot of teams that didn't get this far, so very fun. Kristen's down a total of 19.7, 2.5 last week. Very nice. Let's see. So David, the 8 does the 8 or do I have to get the 10? So, man, that's crazy. I'm going to maybe borrow my wife's phone next time and see what happens. Julie, good evening to you. Denise, look at that. Denise says, non-scale victory. I bought a 2-piece bathing suit for our cruise in December. Very nice. Let's put that in the cool book, because that's just fun, right? I gotta tell you, I have never bought a 2-piece bathing suit, but I hear it's probably pretty cool. Let's see. We got the book out for those of you who are new. I like to write down some non-scale victories. We're just kind of burning through this thing, so let's show you. I'll show you the book. This is the book for one. It's a journal book. Very cool pages. I like it. It's just kind of a neat book. And then what we do is I left the first page open because I want to send it to somebody, have someone draw some cool art. Maybe I'll send it to Freddie boy. But I just write down your non-scale victories as you have them. So we have quite a few as we go through this. We're on, let's see what page we're on. I'm not numbering the pages. But Denise, we got Denise written here, so. Says Denise bought a 2-piece bathing suit for the cruise in December. Hopefully, imagine wherever you go in December is going to be warmer than here. But that's pretty cool, right? When you actually get comfortable enough to say, hey, I'm going to wear a 2-piece bathing suit. I'm going to try it on, and it looks good. I mean, one of the jokes, right, is that, no one likes bathing suit shopping. And so it's very easy to continue buying the 1-piece. But when you say, you know what, I got a 2-piece, that's pretty impressive. So very fun. Ever Sweet on Instagram says, back on track, only on day 2, but you had to start somewhere. That's exactly how it works. John, halftime of the Pats game. Yeah, I was watching for a little bit, but I am no longer watching the Patriots game tonight. So I'm sure my phone, as we're doing the show, will remind me who's winning. So go Pats for sure. Marie, good evening. So we got a Dodgers-Astros matchup. Marianne, happy to see you as well. Julie, hello. Donna, there's a lot of you from Long Island. Donna, good evening. Wow, yesterday was his 8-year anniversary of your day one weigh-in. Very nice. Very nice. Another Long Island. Dean checking in from Long Island. Very cool. Are you guys all over in Long Island? You need to have a Long Island party. Ta from Puyallup. Very good. Thanks for putting some of you guys are catching on, right? If you want me to pronounce it right, you've got to put it phonetically, and I have a much better chance of getting it right. April out of Marietta. Oh, so April is saying hello to Marietta. She's from Douglasville, Georgia. Got it. Albuquerque, Devana's checking in. Let's see. Karen, another one out of Fort Wayne. Very fun. Jeff is here. Good evening to you. Robin from Tennessee. Chris is asking if I will be there for this weekend. Yes, Chris, I will be there on Saturday for sure. I got to tell you, Chris, I'm not 100% positive that we have a 125-pound charm. I think the charms go from 100 to 150. I think. I'm researching that, but if someone here knows, let me know, because I just don't know the answer to that. But Chris, we'll make 125 special no matter what the deal is. If you hit 125, when you hit 125 this weekend, we'll make it special, charm or no charm. I promise you that. And you get a new hat, right? So, Julie out of Colorado said, hi, I heard good things about you. They're all lies, I'm sure. I thought you'd check it out. Julie, thanks for checking out. We just kind of, you'll see in a second, we hang out for a little bit, and then once we're done hanging out, I go right into the show, and then the show, you get to watch it recorded live, and then you guys all go to bed, and I stay up and publish it out. So, Rochelle's here as well. Let's see, I'm going to scroll around, I'm going to skip a couple of you. Gail is here, Terry out of Vero Beach. Let's see, Kaylin's here. Wayusep, Julie says, very cool. Arkansas, Jamie. Let's see. Okay, so David says 8+ has. So both of my family members, my wife and daughter, both have the 8+. So we'll have to test that and go for a walk. Megan's watching The Walking Dead. So Megan, good job on your success. You want to share that with the room? Tell everybody how awesome you're doing. I saw your post, and I thought it was pretty cool. Wouldn't it be a fun show if we did like a Bob and Tom show, but it was a Mike and Terry show? That'd be kind of fun, I don't know if Terry. I don't even know if Terry watches the show. I don't think she does. She doesn't need it. She's awesome. So David, I'll check it out. But if not, David, have you seen those little hand stabilizer things though? Those are pretty wild. All right, let's scroll through. I'm going to get this show done. Angie, your son is coming to Indy this week for the FFA convention. Very nice. That is. We should link up with your son. Shane says, when FatDag says your name on a Facebook Live, that's a non-skill victory without a doubt. And you're right, Shane, and here's why. Because that means you're focused on what it is you're trying to do. You're trying to lose weight, you're trying to get in shape, trying to get healthy, and so you're taking time out of your night to sit and watch some random guy on YouTube, Facebook, so it's just acknowledgement that you're here. We're telling the whole world that you're here. So, very fun. Yeah, Ellen said, saw me in pink. What was the phrase Terry said today? I'm not sure. I'll have to look it up. So, all right, scrolling through to the end. Quite a bit that I missed here. So, but for the rest of you here, good evening to you. If I missed you, it means I love you more. That's what that means. So, because man, it would take me all night just to get to the bottom of those. So, and you guys came here for a show, not just for me to hang out and just say hi to everybody. So, I get some of that feedback sometimes too from friends of mine. Friends of mine tune into the show because, my worlds are starting to collide. I think I told you this before, that when I first started doing this, I didn't tell a lot of people that I was doing Weight Watchers. And so they could tell I was losing weight, but they didn't know I was doing Weight Watchers. And then I told them I was doing Weight Watchers. And very, very few of them knew that I did, made a website, do a podcast. So my worlds are slowly starting to collide. A friend of mine the other night texted me, and he goes, dude, I'm sitting at a dinner with coworkers, and your name came up during Weight Watchers. Who are you? And I replied back, I'm like, well, you should probably know that, here's what I do. And so we laughed pretty good about that. But the whole point is my worlds are now starting to collide, because now, a lot of my friends are now starting to see the post, and so they get it. But so what's interesting is my friends, for the most part, are nice about it, but a couple of them start making fun of me because, it's new. They know me. But the feedback they give me is, one of them said, I popped into your show and all you said was, hi, Linda, hi, George, hi, Betty, hi, Sue. And I'm like, well, you got to stick around for the actual show. You got to say, hi. These people want to come in and stay focused. You got to recognize everybody who's here. That's what keeps it a community, and the community is what makes it work. So if we didn't make it a community, it wouldn't work nearly the same. So, all right. Episode 130 coming up. As you know, I'm a leader here in Indianapolis for Weight Watchers, but everything we talk about during the show, it's my own opinion. It's not at all, doesn't represent the views of Weight Watchers at all. It's strictly my opinion. So just know that. You'll hear that disclaimer as well at the beginning of the actual podcast. But episode 130, let's get a mic check. What's after the mic check? Do you guys know? Come on, veterans. Tell me what's after the mic check. Testing 1 2, testing 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. Sounds good. All right, so we do a mic check for sure, and then we do a little bit of water. That's right. I can't guzzle this one. This one's probably a little more. So cheers. If you have a water, toast it, raise it up, right? Here's to you. Let's go. How do I? Cheers. Let's do Instagram too. Cheers. All right. When you're out of points, stop eating points. All right, let's go. That's ready. That's ready. Episode 130. I need a pen. You guys ready? Let's see. If the water's by the camera, you lose focus. Why oopsep? Why oopsep? When you're out of points, stop eating points. Episode 130 of WhysAdvice. Here we go. Okay, real quick. Sorry. Sara O'Brien on Instagram. So Sara, we're gonna write you into the actual show. What's this? I'm gonna take a little bit of a sidetrack. For those of you on Facebook, you have no idea what I'm talking about. But Sara O'Brien, I'm just gonna say Sara, made something special. So I have a note at the very end of the show. Sara is going to get celebrate. Sara, give me a couple details quickly so I can write it into the show. But I'll put it into the actual episode 130. So, let's see. I'll give her a second just to give me a detail or two. Otherwise, we're going to move on. Dun, 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 dun. Chrissy, you're not late. You're right on time. We're like 2 seconds away from actually getting the show done, so you are not late at all. Sarah's giving me some good details. All right, got some details. All right, cool. Here we go. Oops, one more. So those of you on Facebook, if you want to see what Sarah's talking about, here it comes. It's going to be in the show at the very end. I am your host, FatDag. You're listening to WhysAdvice. My weight loss journey failed when I focused on how. It wasn't until I switched my focus to why that I truly transformed myself. Join the show on the web at FatDag.com and follow along on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, all at WhysAdvice. Send in your comments, your questions, and your celebrations. I'll include them as part of the show. But before we dive in, remember, when you're out of points, stop eating points. Hey, I'm honored to be your wingman as we walk through this journey together because I believe in you. That's right. Welcome to episode 130 of WhysAdvice. And want to let you know again, episode 130 is brought to you by my good friends over at Nokia Health. They've been a big supporter of my journey the entire time. And right now, between now and October 31st, their Nokia Health temporal thermometer is 20% off. I'll put a link in the show notes. But I tell you, I've used this thing. I actually truly enjoy using it. I like it a lot. Wish it was around when I had little kids, because it does an amazing job. And I actually kind of, I started playing with it. I've taken my temperature more than I ever have. You just scan it across your forehead, and it vibrates really lightly when it gives you a reading. It takes like 4,000 readings, and it's really, it's just a cool tool. So check them out. health.nokia.com is where you can find it. But again, I'll put a link in the show notes for you. I want you to know as we do this, as I get a couple requests for folks who want to have their message out in the middle of the show. As you know, the show, we're over 1 million downloads, about 10,000 downloads a week. So it's getting a little bit of attention out there, and people email me, say, hey, can you talk about this? Can you talk about that? And I refuse a lot of it because I want to stay focused on what it is we're trying to do here, and focusing on our health and our fitness is my priority. So as we go through this process, know that as occasionally as these things pop in, they're going to be things that I truly recommend. I wouldn't push it just for the sake of pushing it. That's not how I'm going to operate this show. But I want to give you that heads up that that when companies who support me and give me vital tools to help me reach my goals, then heck yeah, I'm going to support them back. It's one of the things I always say: if you support me, I support you, and that's how it is. But so check them out, health.nokia.com, and get the thermometer between now and October 31st. It's 20% off. Out of Ohio, Kellie writes in, says, hello from Ohio. First, a brief of my weight journey. I first joined Weight Watchers at the age of 15 at the request of my mom. That opens a whole other can of worms, and really, I think, has a lot to do with my mentality towards food. I, like you, have joined several times, either doing meetings or online only. I failed miserably online, but I had some success in the meetings, losing at most 13 pounds. Fast forward to age 33, 2 kids and a stillborn son, and so much anxiety and depression. I found myself weighing 284.4 pounds. One of my best friends asked me to be in her wedding, October 21st, 2017. Knowing the other girls who would be bridesmaids, I knew I would be the largest girl standing up there. I didn't want to suffer that embarrassment. Therefore, I finally joined Weight Watchers for the last time, April 25th, 2017. My goal was to lose 30 pounds by the wedding. Through amazing support all around and a willpower I can't explain, I exceeded my goal and I lost 43 pounds by the wedding yesterday. I even had to have my bridesmaid dress taken in twice because of how much weight I lost. I was so proud and so happy. I feel so much better, and even more now that I want to lose weight for my health and for my family. That's awesome, right? Well, why do I feel so defeated? After getting my hair done for the wedding, I kept looking in the mirror thinking, man, this makes my face look so round, but maybe I'll feel better once I get my makeup done and my dress on. Nope, I kept feeling huge. I was still the largest bridesmaid, and it just kept haunting me through the night. I tried to keep pushing it away because I had a blast celebrating with my friend's wedding. After all, it wasn't about me anyway. It was her day. And darn it, I've lost 43 pounds so far, the most I've ever lost. This morning, we all gathered around the computer to look at the photographer's photos, and my worst fear was revealed. I looked huge. I didn't feel flattering in my dress, and that feeling of embarrassment came back, and it just felt like all that amazing work, and I still look huge. I told my husband how I felt, and he's been amazingly supportive, and he told me I looked absolutely beautiful and thought my face looked slimmer, etc. I love him for that, but why do I still have this pit in my stomach, feeling of almost a depression that it wasn't good enough, and I was still embarrassed? I know I should be proud of myself. I didn't lose 43 pounds by accident. I know I'm not done, and I'm going to keep going, but I feel like I always will see her wedding pictures, and I'll think on the huge feeling of defeat I'm feeling now. Why? Thanks for your advice, Kellie. Well, Kellie, let's start with the cool parts of your email. You're down 43 pounds. That's amazing work. Just as you said, it didn't happen by accident. You were focused. You were disciplined. You had a strong feeling that even you couldn't explain to exceed the goal that you set. What that proves is the feelings that you have now you can completely eradicate because you've proven that you can get the goal. You've proven by losing 43 pounds using a willpower that you can't explain, which was fueled by your why, that you can set a goal, you can track, you can stay focused, and you can hit it. So now it's just a matter of time of continuing to do everything that you've done, and you'll get the goal. Now let's talk about your involvement in this wedding. Your best friend asked you to be in her wedding because she loves you. You're her best friend. She didn't care what you look like. She cared about you being there for her at times when you probably, other people may not have been. For whatever you guys have been through together is so impactful in her life that in the most beautiful day of her life, she wanted someone to celebrate it with, and all she cared was that you would be there with her. That's all she cared about. And for the rest of her life, she's going to have pictures of those who stood by her at the most amazing day in her life. And she's going to see you and see that you were there. That's what she's going to focus on. I promise you, you're the only one focused on the rest. So what I want you to do is I want you to celebrate the fact, just like you did, that it was an amazing day. It was an amazing ceremony. It was absolutely her day. And then when you get to your goal, because you're clearly on track, you're down 43 pounds. It's the most you've ever lost until tomorrow, until next week, until next month. That number is going to continue to climb. You're going to get the goal. And then when you look back at these photos, you are absolutely going to love everything about them. When you get to goal, all of those before photos become the prize. They become reminders of everything you went through, and you'll go digging through photo albums, I promise you. You will go digging through every single camera roll that you have, looking for any sort of photos that you have. Because when you get to goal, you understand the journey. You understand how much hard work it took to get you to win. And you want those reminders to say, I did this. So the photos are really, really great. You're going to love them when you get to goal. And clearly you're going to get the goal because you're down 43 pounds. You've set your sights and you're taking care of it. So now, just like your husband said, feel fantastic because you look beautiful. He's validated. He's the only one you have to please. It's going to take a while for our minds to catch up in this journey. And so what I want you to do is I want you to focus on what it is you're doing. I want you to focus on the hard work, and I want you to take the advice of those who support you just like you supported your friend by being in her wedding. You look great, you're feeling great, and you're on fire. Kellie, keep up the amazing work. I'm so proud of you. Pam writes in, says, "Hi, FatDag. I want to apologize now. This is a long email, but I'm hoping this will help someone else out. I've emailed in twice before, but the last time was when I emailed you when I hit Wonderland. My Connect username is Pamela, GOLLOB. I know, real original, right? The first time I started Weight Watchers, I got down to 175 and I quit. I wasn't at goal. I got frustrated and life was getting in the way. I know all of them are excuses, but at the time, I had too much on my plate to even begin to focus on me. My fiance at the time was getting ready to deploy to Afghanistan with the Iowa Army National Guard. That year was hell. Even with people within our deployment support group said it was the worst deployment any of them had ever been through. Food was my comfort and my crutch. Yes, I'm an emotional eater, and before I knew it, I was up to 225 pounds. I barely held on to that for my wedding, which happened 2 months after he came home from Afghanistan. I had to crash diet just to get that weight and comfortably fit into my dress. Fast forward 4.5 years, my weight loss journey started for the final time number 2, on March 3rd, 2015, at the heaviest I've ever been at 266.2 pounds. My why when I started? Life insurance. I just wanted to get life insurance. See, my height and my weight automatically disqualified what I like to call the rubber stamp denied. They denied me to even go through the physical process. I was just too heavy. With a 6-month-old son at the time and not being able to get life insurance, it was crushing to say the least. As a parent, you want to take care of your kids no matter what capacity you are in, and I couldn't do that. Talk about make you feel like the worst parent in the world. I worked the program as I knew it works, and the weight started to come off. I got down to 225 pounds, and my husband urged me to try it again and apply for life insurance. I didn't want to. I was afraid I would get rubber stamp denied again. But I did. You know what? I wasn't rubber stamp denied. I took the physical, and the day of the physical, I weighed 222, and a few weeks later, I got the results. I passed. I have life insurance. Talk about a happy dance. That meant my why had to change, and so it did. See, I'd always been an overweight person, so I knew to make my why stick, it needed something long-term. I don't think I've ever remembered a time of being at a healthy weight, even as a child. Growing up, I was always the one picked last for any sporting picks, because they knew I couldn't keep up. I would make them lose. I watched my mom and my grandpa yo-yo diet, and I thought that was the norm, which I now know is not normal or healthy. That's when it dawned on me. My son was about 18 months by this point, and I knew what I had to do was to set an example. Be the parent who is healthy, takes care of themselves, and will be around for a very long time. About 4.5 years ago, I had a massive blood clot in my leg, and I was barely in my 30s. About 3 years ago, I lost my grandma to a massive heart attack, and my grandpa 1.5 years ago to a stroke. The common theme? Heart and blood clotting issues. Was my grandmother overweight? Absolutely, but my grandpa wasn't extremely overweight. So that brings me to my new why. I want to be around for my son and all of the life experiences he is going to have. Mind you, he's only 2, but I want to be around for him for many years. So my why is I don't want to yo-yo diet ever again. It's not healthy. It's not okay for my son to see. I want my son to not know the mommy who is morbidly obese, which is where I was when I started Weight Watchers. This last spring and summer, Complacency City hit, and honestly, it could have taken up residency. I have literally struggled with the last 8 to 10 pounds that I have lost up until 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, a coworker's husband went through a massive health issue, was in the hospital for 2 weeks, most of which was ICU. He made it, and he is home recovering. That's when it hit me. What my coworker's husband went through could have been me had I not started Weight Watchers back in 2015 when I did. It scared me. It shook me to my core. This could have been me. Talk about a refocusing moment. So on October 1st, I started tracking like a newbie again. There was no ifs and or buts. It's what I had to do. My coffee creamer came to find out was adding 3 to 5 points a day because I wasn't measuring and tracking correctly. That alone was putting me into maintenance mode, from what you said on previous podcast. The 1st and the 2nd of October, I didn't get blue dots both days. I missed on the low side, as I just wasn't hungry, so I didn't eat them, just because I had them. October 3rd came, and since that day, blue dots all the way, every day. This has become my new goal and focus, to get those blue dots every day and to get to goal. Goal is so close, I can see it, and I want to be part of Team Lifetime sooner, and I will get there. So today, October 11th, I stepped on the scale at the meeting, knowing I was going to have a loss, but holy crap, a full week of blue dots and exercise, I was down for the week 5.2 pounds. What? I'm 5 months away from being on the plan for 2 years. This is crazy and shouldn't ever even have been possible, but it is, and I did it. With the weight loss today, I am down a total of 86.4 pounds and working towards my 100-pound charm. I know if I didn't get there, it's not the end of the world. My healthy weight range starts at 95 pounds gone. I know from listening that goal is a feeling, it's not a number, and that is why I'm okay if I don't get that 100-pound charm, even though it would be super cool to get it. I know when I get to goal, I will rock it, and it will be awesome, and I'll be the amazing mom and wife that my family deserves. Sorry this is so long, but thank you for all you do for the Weight Watcher community, the podcast, and of course, our country. Best focus, Pamela out of Fort Dodge, Iowa. Well, Pamela, thank you as well for all your service to our nation. Your husband's doing amazing work for the Guard, and as a military spouse, I understand that role completely. And so being the support system that you are is an amazing sacrifice as well. So thank you to your entire family for their service to our nation as well. It's an incredible honor to be talking to you through the email at this point because of your patriotism. So thank you for that. Let's go all the way back to the beginning. Let's talk about where you are in this journey. The life insurance thing, I get that. I get that's why you wanted to start and you wanted to have this why. But let's think about life insurance is great. And you figured out through the process that what's maybe a little better is life. And you're living it. And so I would much rather provide a healthy, fit life to your children than the actual life insurance. Now, I'm glad you're putting a plan B into place, but plan A has to be you. Plan A doesn't have to be life insurance. Plan A is taking care of you and your life, and you are now doing that. When you hit when you started this journey before, you got down to 175 pounds and you quit. Because what happens is that was complacency. You got frustrated. Your life got in the way. What we have to do is we have to get to the point where no matter what gets thrown into our life, that we have an autopilot and we have a response mechanism that is healthy and fit. It's what I talk about all the time. When folks start this process, we all want to eat the exact same way, have no change in our life, and we just want to lose weight. It doesn't work that way. The lifestyle we have built is what puts us overweight. And so in order for us to not be overweight anymore, we have to unbuild that lifestyle that we created, and we have to create a new lifestyle. If you grew up your entire life eating junk food and not working out, you have to get rid of those two things in order to have change. And so a lot of us, we start this plan and we are able to change our life a little bit. And then as soon as, tragedy hits or as soon as stress hits, we revert back to our old ways because we're so focused on getting it done. We're not actually living it. We're actually just doing it, which is slightly different. What I want you to do is I want you to think about in a moment what you need to do is you truly have to change your life. If food was your comfort and your crutch, we now need to find a different crutch for you. At this point, for me, exercise is my crutch. So, when I get stressed or overwhelmed, I want to go work out because that feels better to me than overeating does. But because I've changed my lifestyle, and for me, it's now an autopilot response to be healthy. Sure, there's still days of overeating. There's some controlled overeating. There's some mindful overeating, but it's not due to stress or anxiety. So I want you to kind of just focus on, if you want to completely change your life, you have to actually completely change your life. So now your why is very powerful. I love this one. I see this a couple times. And your why is, you don't want a yo-yo diet ever again. It's not healthy for your son to see it. Our children watch everything we do. And so you're right. Just like you said, you watched it through your whole life. You watched it. You thought it was the normal thing to do. You have the chance to break that cycle. You now have the chance to teach your son that living a healthy lifestyle is actually what we just do. And so he won't know that struggle, the stress that you're going through when you win. When you get to goal and he sees you living healthy and happily, he's like, yeah, I get it. So I'm glad to see that as you were working through the process, you understood that by not tracking everything, that you were actually eating in a maintenance mode. And that's what makes the journey so difficult. The piece that makes it challenging is when you think you're doing everything right and you're not getting the results that you're promised, it becomes a battle in your head for you to figure out what's going on. And very rarely do we take the time to look back and go, oh, actually, it's actually my fault. I actually wasn't tracking everything. So it's why we actually just get in the mindset of, hey, part of this process is I just track everything, the good, the bad, the ugly, and I use that to educate myself as I go through the process. The tracking is the education piece. You start tracking consistently and honestly, at some point you'll start seeing everything you put in, you'll know what impact it has on your journey. Then as you go through that and you have to focus on getting those blue dots, and you have to understand the concept of when you're out of points, stop eating points. It means you can switch to 0 point foods. And as you switch to 0 point foods, you look back on the day and say, well, maybe I should have had this instead of that. And you start now recreating your day and say, what could I have changed to have more points later on down the road? You're clearly getting it done. The fact that you're now focused so heavily on your blue dots because you know it works. I think it's amazing that when you finally figure it out and you finally track consistently and you had a 5.2 pound loss in a single week, granted, that's not going to happen every week, but that's the first indication to you that this program works. It truly works. You can get it done. You're down 86.4 pounds. That did not happen by accident. Now, whether you can get to 100 or not is irrelevant. I was in a very similar situation. I lost 91 pounds. It would have been very fun to get 9 more pounds to get that, 100-pound charm. But I got to the point where I stepped on the scale and I said, I don't want to lose any more weight. So when they handed me the star and the key for lifetime, that's way more valuable than that 100-pound charm. When you get there, you'll understand exactly what I'm talking about. So keep up the amazing work. 86.4 pounds. Pamela, it's amazing work. Didn't happen by accident. It happened because you're dedicated to your mission. You're focused. You know why you're doing it. Now let's just completely cement those habits and make them your routine. Put them on autopilot, and let's get it done. Out of Kannapolis, North Carolina, Lisa writes in and says, Dear FatDag, I finally figured out how to put my why into words. It is, or was, because I want to love my body. I know that on the surface this sounds vain, like I want to look in the mirror and say to myself, wow, you're hot. And sure, I'd love to be able to do that. After all, who doesn't want to look in the mirror and feel good about what they see? But that really isn't it. A recent conversation with a friend brought it all into focus for me. My friend's mother has dementia. It's getting to the point where her mom needs the care of an assisted living center. Her mother is adamantly against moving, but at this point my friend, let's call her Jane, is doing what she feels is best for her mom. In a recent phone call, Jane told me that her mom had screamed, "You don't love me." Jane was so incredibly hurt. I immediately saw the untruth of this and said, Jane, of course you love her. Love is not always giving someone what they want. It's doing what is best for them, even when it's hard for you and hard for them. Aha! This is what made it clear. Wanting to love my body isn't going to cut it. Actually, loving my body is where it's at. I'm following this lifestyle because I love my body. I want to do what is best for it. I want to make the choices that show that I care. I am making the choices that show that I care. I know that my mindset has changed just because the old me would have said, I'm making the hard choices, but this time it hasn't been hard. I'm not looking longingly at the jar of M&Ms on my boss's desk and feeling deprived, thinking, I can't have that. I don't want that. Just as I don't want to harm someone I love. I don't want to harm my body with an onslaught of unhealthy junk. Do I still have the occasional indulgence? Sure. There was a huge birthday party at my house at the end of July, and you bet that I worked a cake and ice cream into my plan for the day. Then I went right back to healthy food, and I didn't feel deprived when the leftovers disappeared over the next few days. Why? Because I love my body, and I'm showing that love by how I'm caring for it. And I feel awesome. Knowing my why has been a complete game changer, and I never would have really dug down and put it into words if it wasn't for you. Thank you for encouraging me to figure out my why, because so many times my weight loss journey failed when I focused on how. Now that I'm focused on my why, I am truly transforming myself. I owe you a sincere debt of gratitude, Lisa. And then Lisa goes on to say, P.S. I will be handwriting this into my journal just in case I need a reminder at some difficult point in my future. And then also goes on to say, I realize that losing weight is hard, and I don't want in any way for your listeners to think that I am minimizing their efforts. I have so much respect for anyone who's working to get healthy. Lisa, I completely agree with this. Now, I agree with you. If you're tuned into the show, if you're listening to the show, it means you're at least wanting to get this done. You may not know how yet, you may not know why yet, all that may play in, but the fact that you're now listening means you want to. That's a great start. And if you want to, you can do it, which is fun, but it's not exactly easy. However, I do agree with you, Lisa, is I've made some changes in my life where, for the lack of a better term, I believe it is easy. Maintaining is easier for me than losing was. And it's only easier because I figured out that, just like you, I don't want some of the stuff that I used to want before. And so I'm not having to say no to it. I just actually don't want it. And that piece makes it. Earlier in the journey, I had to actually say no to things I wanted. And now what I want is different. Now, sure, there's still times where I have to actually be mindful and think differently. But for the most part, the things that I want are goal and health. And that's working very well. Now, when you talk about being vain and having vanity, I think vanity plays a key role in this process. At some point, you have to understand that vanity is a term that other people use to describe you. It's also tied into jealousy. I think if you think you look good and you're happy with that, it's not vanity, it's pride. It's only vanity to an onlooker looking in who isn't where you're at. I've said this on a couple previous episodes. If you go to the gym and you find the folks who are working out, they don't consider each other vain. They don't look at someone else who's working and say, oh my God, look at that person's so vain. They're proud of the effort because they know the effort it takes to maintain a solid physique and to get it done, and you're clearly getting it done. So keep up that work. It's interesting how it took a tragedy in your friend's life for you to realize this. And what's funny how, as we go through this journey, we almost always figure it out and we treat other people differently than we treat ourselves. And when you responded that, of course that she loves you, and that sometimes love is not always giving someone what they want, it's doing what's best for them, even when it's hard for you and them. It's why you have to make the decisions here to completely change your life. If you truly love yourself and you want to take care of your body, you have to make the hard decisions that are difficult to make, and you got to stick with them. You can do this. And I'm glad that aha moment made it clear that you say, you know what, I love my body. It's the only body we get. You've got to take care of it because you don't get another. And so as you completely change your mindset, that's when you start seeing the fact that you're making goal. It's because when you change your mind and you start focusing on why you're doing this and you bounce every decision in the future against your why, do I want this or do I want goal? Do I want pizza? Do I want goal? Do I want cake, or do I want to make goal? You only have to get it right a handful of times, but you absolutely can get it done. And I'm very glad to see at the very end you say you're writing this in your journal because this is what will propel you forward. Times will get difficult. It will become a challenge. And at that point, you read back here, you say, yeah, I get this. I really am doing this. So Lisa, keep up the great work. You're clearly getting it done. I want to hear when you get to goal. I want you to tell me exactly how good it feels because I want to share that. Thank you for writing in. At Greenbrier, Tennessee, Connie writes in and says, Hi, FatDag. I've been listening to you for a couple weeks. I really find the podcast very motivating, and I love listening to the life stories. I am 51 years old and 5'1" at 137 pounds, and I would like to be 121 pounds. Why 121? Because I felt that weight about 14 years ago. I had lost weight with the Dr. Phil diet. It worked great. I tried to do it again when I was gaining the weight back, but it wasn't working for me. I needed something different. My goal weight before your podcast was 129 pounds. I knew I could do 129 because I did it before on Weight Watchers. This was my third time with Weight Watchers, never to make any goal weight. I felt the 129 and it was okay, but not great. When I was 121, I could wear all the cute medium-sized clothes and I could feel good in them. You're right about feeling great. I want to feel great. I am thankful that you were in my head pushing for what I really want and for not settling for what I could get out of Weight Watchers. God bless Connie. Connie, you figured it out. You know, this is a real short, simple email that you know what's going on. Goal is a feeling. You know, sure, there's a number you have in your head at 121, but if at 122 you absolutely feel great, then well, maybe 122 is the number. If at 121 you get there and you say, then maybe 120 is the number. But you're the one that gets to decide what success looks like. The person who defines success in this journey is you. It's your choice. If you wake up every morning and you say, I feel the best I've ever felt, then that's goal. You know, if your doctor agrees with you, then you satisfy the program requirements and you bring that into your meeting and you celebrate. You know, if not, then you and your doctor have a conversation of how great you feel and you figure that piece out. But the other thing you've proven is that feeling of feeling great is what will drive you to goal, regardless of how you use. The why is the fuel. The how is the mechanism you choose to use to get there. So the metaphor is if you know why you're doing it, it doesn't matter if it's the Dr. Phil diet, the Atkins diet, there's so many different plans out there. The one thing they all have in common is that if you know why you're doing them, you can trick your brain long enough to use that how to get to a point where all of a sudden you've completely changed your life, and that will carry you to goal. Now, certain diets out there are better than others because some of them are sustainable a long time. It's why I've chosen Weight Watchers for my journey. Because for my lifestyle, being able to fit anything into the plan the way I want to is the most convenient for me. But I know why I'm staying at goal. I know why I wake up every morning and make the decision of, do I want to track today? Do I want to weigh in this morning? All of that is with the strong why. So you can clearly get it done, Connie. Keep up the amazing work. I'm so proud of you. Last up, before the show, I'm Facebook Live and I'm on Instagram Live. And Sara writes in, she said she made Lifetime today. For 4 years, 44 pounds gone. She's been working this out, and today she hits Lifetime. Sara, congratulations. It's such an honor to celebrate this journey with you. Keep up the amazing work. And thanks for being here on Instagram with us at WhysAdvice. Folks, what is it that you're celebrating? Let's share it on the air. Go to FatDag.com, click on Listen Now, send in your celebrations, your comments, and your questions. I'll work them in as part of the show. I want you to email in your celebrations because I want you to be proud of what you're doing. Well, that's going to do it for this time. Remember that losing weight and getting healthy has nothing to do with luck. You have to remain disciplined and focused. Set your sights on your goal and go after it. I wish you good focus. Whoop, whoop. Sarah, you're welcome. So, hey, real quick, I always, those of you on Instagram, you time out after an hour, because that's Instagram does. So 30 seconds left, and then Instagram times out. Because we're going to be here for a second, I will reboot the Instagram feed. So after you cut out on Instagram, give me a second. I'll take a second and I'll relaunch it into a new live feed. So, but Sarah, congratulations. So, question I have over here on Instagram says, working late for you. Do I fear gaining all your way back? Not at all. Not even. No, I don't. And I'll talk about it in 5 seconds when I reboot Instagram. So, Lee, I don't believe so. But if it is, it's purely accidental. Let's see, let me get Instagram rebooted real quick, though. Give me 1 second. But anyway, so Lee, I don't know. I don't know. So the process I use is when the emails come in, and when I reply to them, I push them off into into a different folder. So I wouldn't think that that's the case, but I could be wrong. If so, let me know. But it's not from a lack of content; it's a lack of organization. So, Amanda, good to see you. Thank you. Very fun. Phyllis, ta-ta for now. Yeah, Julie, I don't think they were either, but I don't know. Oh no, the first one I got today, Lee. Actually, it's funny. The first email about the wedding, that email came in today. Actually, when I open my inbox, I go to the old ones, but I read the top 2 or 3 first, and then I kind of save them off. But sometimes the first ones get to me, and I go, yeah, I'll put that in the show tonight. So that actually came in to today's inbox. So that one, I'm positive, was not a repeat for that reason, for sure. So Instagram folks, welcome back. Good to see you. And it's okay, Lee. So here's what's funny, right? Kellie, woohoo! Kellie's here. Here's what's funny. So so Karen says we all have similar stories. I see one of the funny things that's for me, right, as I see people post things on Connect, I see them post them on Facebook, and I see it on Instagram, where they said, FatDag said this, and I read that and I go, no, I didn't say that. And not only did I not say it, I actually don't believe it. So I know I didn't say it, but I get people credit things to me that I didn't say. But the reason a lot of that is because it's kind of like if I tell you right now, draw a picture of a tiny house on a hill, right? And so everyone grabs out a piece of paper and they draw a tiny house on a hill. Well, the word tiny house is different for everybody. Tom Brady, when he draws a tiny house, it's probably going to be like this big. When I draw a tiny house, it's going to be like this big, because we have a different mindset on what tiny house means. And we say draw a tiny house on a hill. Someone who lives in Switzerland on the Alps, a hill may be just this big mountain. But someone who lives in Florida, a hill could be like this, something different. So the whole concept is your brain fills in the details unless it's the difference between reading a book and watching a movie, right? So you have to understand that as we go through this journey and I read these emails, your brain is filling in all of the details based on what you know about your life. And so therefore, that's why a lot of people like the show so much, is because it really gets them to think and fill in all the details and apply it to their own journey. And just about everybody says, I feel like your show is talking directly to me. Well, it's because you're talking to yourself and you're getting it done. So hope that helps. So Lee, that's probably why you recognize a lot of them, is maybe, again, it just makes a little bit of sense. So, So Becky says in the last 4 weeks, so you listen to every podcast, you don't think they are repeats. Becky said when Lee first found the show, he spent 2 days. He didn't even leave his house. He just listened and listened and listened. So that was, I remember when you wrote that in, Lee, it made me smile so much. Yep. Kim's here. Woohoo. Yep. Yeah, Lee says, I'm patient, but you're hoping your 75-page letter makes it to the show. It's in here. I tell you, and I don't want to discourage anyone from writing in, but, if you do the math, I read, 4 to 5 emails per show. I do, 2 or 3 shows a week. I get more email than that. So it's hard to work them in. So let me go back on Instagram, because Instagram asked me before the show, do I ever fear gaining all the weight back? And I answered no, I don't, because I have some control mechanisms set in place. And so one of them is clothing size. I know, like, I just bought this last night. This was a new shirt for me. It's a medium. I actually think it's a little big, to be honest with you. Let me see. So it's a little loose compared to what I like to wear for a medium shirt. So, I should have tried on the small, to be honest with you. I didn't, and I may go try on the small just to see if I like the fit. I think this fits in the shoulders, so I'm okay with that. But the whole point is this is a medium shirt. I'm now buying mediums. The day that I can't walk in and grab a medium off the rack will be a red flag for me, and I'm confident that I won't go back. The same thing with the pants that I wear, the 31-inch waist. 31-inch waist pants, I'm not going to outgrow them. There's that, but more importantly is I feel completely in control. I don't use the term struggle to define my journey anywhere. I don't say, today I was struggling, and because what I understand is that my life is a complete balance. So there are days that I do very well on the plan, and there are days that I don't do as well. The days that I don't do as well, they're deliberate and focused, and I'm making the intentional decision to balance part of my life socially. And that's causing, a different reaction. But I know how to control it. I know how to fix it. And I have some triggers to make sure that it's not going to happen. So the whole thing we can do is you keep following me, and 5 years from now, we'll see who's right. But I don't fear it, because I feel like I'm in control. So I hope that helps. Let's see. So Jessica is writing a research paper, and she says, do you have any advice for those doing Weight Watchers online? It's all I'm able to do right now while working the full-time, raising young kids, one with special needs, and working on my master's in nursing. Jessica, so I think there are some amazingly successful people who've done this program online. So I am not one of them. I've tried more than once to do it online, and I couldn't get it done. But I know there are people who are. So online versus meeting rooms, it's not entirely that different. They go back to a how versus a why. So if you know why you're doing it, then the how is meetings and or online only, or a completely different program. So my advice to those of you who are doing it online only is you really have got to take the advice of dig deep and find out your true why, write it down, read it often, balance every decision against that why, and then continue to move forward and make every decision balanced against that. So, but it doesn't matter if you do it online or not. So, Deb, you made it through the whole thing. Deb was on a train a little while ago, so very fun. Denise, no, I don't think so. If you're walking 4 miles a day, do you need to eat more points, losing a pound a week? That's something you're going to have to experiment with, but my experience is no. If you're walking 4 miles a day, that's probably 10 to 12,000 steps. Maybe it's probably close to 15,000 steps a day. So I don't think that is enough to spike. I think you can handle that with your weeklies if you're making right decisions with your weeklies. So now, Denise, it comes into if you're putting that much exercise in, and you're eating your dailies and eating your weeklies, but the food quality isn't consistent. If you're eating your weeklies with a Snickers bar, and that's your weeklies, then you feel like you need more food because that's not fuel. So the first thing I would change in your plan is if you feel like, first of all, losing a pound a week is perfectly on plan. That's the goal, is to lose a pound a week. So you're doing fantastic work. So I would continue doing what you're doing. But if you wanted to experiment, then what I would experiment is by mixing in higher quality, healthier food with lots of protein, and use that to get yourself the fuel you need to continue working and walking 4 miles a day. So not about the actual point number, if that makes sense, I hope. Yeah, and Lee says it perfectly. A pound a week is right on time. Yeah, Chris says Patriots up 23-0 in the fourth. Woohoo! Trophy Club, Texas. Jennifer, good evening to you. Late to the party, but the show will be on YouTube and it'll be on Facebook shortly in a little bit. So, Kelly says, I know you couldn't respond during the show, but thank you for your response. You're absolutely right. You always have a way of putting it that I didn't think of. Kelly, so during the show, that's what makes this difficult. So, we do the pre-show, we hang out for a little bit. Then once the show starts, I only get about, it's hard to say. I get right now on my screen, I can see 4 Instagram comments and I can only see 2 Facebook comments. And so and then I have to scroll through. So when I do the show, the comments come through, but I can see 2 or 3 at a time at the most. And so now I'm trying to read the script, right? Think, read the screen. And so occasionally I'll see something in there as I'm talking, and I can kind of work that in, but it's extremely difficult to do. And then what happens is once the show ends, it's not until about an hour from now I'll actually go back through and read the Facebook feed. But so all of that gets lost and gets buried. So there's probably a few hundred comments in there that I can't even see right now. But I will go back and read them in about an hour. So, but yeah, so I missed a lot of it. But I'm glad that if there's something specific, hit it now, and I'll get it before we, because from now what happens, I scroll all the way to the bottom, and when I get to the bottom, I end the show. So if there's something specific I didn't address that you want to hear, we can at least talk about it here. So, let's see. Yeah, Lee does want his own show. 75 pages, right? We'll say, yeah, so, today, okay, got it. Going through, Kristen says it lost 19.7 pounds so far. Now you weigh 298.7, which is very cool. You're wondering, how do you figure out how much I should make your goal weight and that Weight Watchers said you should be at? Well, Kristen, let's not focus on the goal weight, right? Because there is going to be, as you get closer to your goal, it's going to be a conversation with you and your doctor and your leader. The 3 of you are going to have to make some decisions. Your goal should be to work and eat and live healthy. If you do that, and you do that for the rest of your life, then at some point your body will settle into wherever it needs to be, and you'll call that goal. So your focus is tracking. Your focus is eating healthy. Your focus is moving more and getting a little more exercise. Those are the goals that I would set for you. I would set them as attendance goals and not worry about a number on the scale. So you just broke into the 2s, which is amazing work, right? So, depending on where you're at, and I don't know how tall you are, but I imagine you now at least have another 100 pounds to go. So I don't want you to focus there. I know you can do it, which is cool because you've seen countless people have done it. But when you get there, you're not going to know what that looks like. You're not going to know what it feels like. So what you want to do is focus on your health, and that you actually can control. So that's good. As Lee says in the 2 comments below, a good indicator is BMI, but I don't know that BMI is for everybody. And I'm a firm believer in that. I like that as a guide, but it's just going to be different for everybody. Kelly says you're bad about blue dots, but stay within your point, and you're changing that after listening. So I'm a fan of the blue dots. I really am. But I also know that I'm more of a fan of not going negative in your tracker. So if you want to eat, the blue dots only give you blue dots if you do a +7. But if you're going out for a big dinner and you've saved all of your weeklies for that one dinner, then if you eat them and you don't get a blue dot, but you stayed in your plan and you didn't go negative, that's okay. Now, the reason the blue dot range is from -3 to +7 is to kind of evenly spread it out. And so if you eat all of your weeklies or most of them on one day and you weigh in the next day, you're probably not going to like the number on the scale. So the blue dot range just kind of keeps everything even and consistent. So, but you have the luxury, just don't go negative. And so if you don't go negative and don't get blue dots, then that's fine. So the blue dots will keep you from going negative to some extent. And so that's kind of the first rule. So the first rule is don't go negative. Second rule or first rule is get your blue dots, stay in that negative range. I don't know which order they're in, but the two work hand in hand. But, as much as I want you to get 30 blue dots in a row, there is also some consideration. Just don't go negative. And that's a bigger reward. So keep up that. Let's see. BMI calculators all over the internet. So Kathy's amazing proof of what I just said earlier. She's online only, lost 129 pounds. Incredible. I don't have that discipline. Kathy, I'd love to just chat with you someday and see the tools that you're using to get it done, because that's amazing work to do online only. You clearly know why you're doing it and you're focused, which is very, very fun. Yeah, I think a lot of you guys responded with the same thing. Georgine's asking, so if you're at goal and doing your 6 weeks of maintenance, are you allowed to go more than 2 pounds under that goal? So during your 6 week maintenance, we want you to hit a plus 2 pound range. I got to tell you, I've seen this question asked a lot. I don't honestly know the answer to it. I believe that at the end of your 6 weeks of maintenance, you can weigh in less than your goal weight. But I don't know if that's true or not. So I guess I don't know. You have to ask your leader, and I need to go look it up. When I have someone in that scenario, I'll ask. But I just don't know the answer. We want you to be in that 2 pound range. After that, you can reset your goal and go down. What we want to really see is we want to see that you can maintain your weight through tracking and through exercise. So I would stick to that 2 pound range. It's pretty easy to do, but if you're doing that for 6 weeks, you're going to know what it's like. Don't get hung up on it, and let's just say realistically, right? So let's say you come in after your 6 weeks of maintenance and you're 3 pounds under your goal. Okay, isn't that cool? And then you just go wait 1 more week and then celebrate, or whatever it takes, and readjust your goal weight maybe. But as long as you're under, you're under, and that should be the celebration. So let's see. Becky says, you've changed after you found me too. You have blue dotted almost every day for the last 4.5 weeks. You've lost every week since. Yep, usually at least 2 pounds. Right now your 20th day in a row. So I am a fan of the blue dots. Really, I am, because it just gives you a target, but also not going negative is key too. Kim, thank you. I like the pre and post as well too. But of course, as you know, so we started at just after 10, and here we are 11:23. So we're an hour and a half just in, just in the show. So Lee wants to be a Weight Watchers leader. I think I've heard that before, Lee. Kristen says your video quit working. I don't know. Mine's working. Okay, good. Kristen's back. Yeah, Lee is a good example. He didn't have a goal weight for many years in his journey. Angie brings up a really good point here. Angie says if you get a true blue dot, you will lose the weight. The key word in that sentence is true. So you can track, you can get a blue dot in the app and then go eat a bag of chips, right? And then I got a blue dot. You can get a blue dot by not tracking your coffee creamer. You can get a blue dot by not tracking your ketchup. But what happens is if you're, the difference between, I meant to say this in the show. The difference between maintaining your weight and losing your weight is up to 6 points a day. So if you're not tracking your ketchup, you're not tracking your coffee creamer, then you could be eating in a maintenance mode. So as Angie says, if you get a true blue dot, meaning if you could put a little mechanism in front of your mouth and that thing would register the true value of the dot as it went down, and you got a true and a blue dot that way, you will lose weight. But if you put the food in and you have 2 different ways to get in there, you're not getting a true blue dot. So Angie, great point for sure. Well, and Angie, I disagree with that, though. So I go from agreeing to Angie with disagreeing to Angie, and two seconds later she goes, it's not smart to eat your weeklies the day before weigh-in. I don't think that matters. If you're staying on plan, so what may happen is that week the scale may not give you the number you're looking for, but if you stay with the plan, the following week will probably be better. So I don't think it matters. I know people who, they don't eat breakfast before they weigh in. I think that if just live your life and just weigh in. Whatever the scale says is just a data point. So, if you worked the plan all week, and you didn't eat your weeklies, and then the day before weigh-in you ate all your weeklies, that food may be in your stomach, but you lost weight that week, and then the sodium and the water retention gives you the number on the scale, and it's 2 or 3 days later, if you're tracking honestly, you're going to go back down to that trend, and the following week your weigh-in is going to be even less. So I don't think it matters when you eat your weeklies, as long as your brain knows that the gain that you see from eating your weeklies the day before weigh-in is just that. It's not a true weight gain. Yeah, so Becky, that's exactly what Terry said. Food is just fuel, and so it's not this prize, So Terry, that's why she's so smart. Susie asked if it's too late to send a card to Operation FatDag. No, October 31st is my talk, so depending on where you live and depending on when it gets here, where we are, today is the 22nd, so we got about 10 days. So yeah, if you send it in this week, the address will be in the show notes. So that those of you who don't know, Operation FatDag is I talked to a group of Army soldiers who are potentially getting kicked out of the military or close to it, and we're kind of rehabilitate them and get them on the right track to save them. And so part of that is they bring me in and I tell my story and tell them what's going on. Episode 54 is a great example of what I do. And so at the very end, I hand them your card and say, I believe in you, and so does Susie. She believes in you as well. So Lee's trying to sell his blue dots. That's funny. Cool. All right, Angie and I are back to agreeing. So cool. All right, well, cool. That made it to the very end, so let's go ahead and wrap this up. It's late. It's going to take me some time to get the show published tonight, but always a pleasure being here, hanging out with you guys. We're just getting it done. It's important work. The fact that you're still tuned in reminds me that you want to do it. So if you want to do it, I want to do it. Let's get it done. So thank you for being here. Have a great night. The journey is hard work, but it's so worth it. It has nothing to do with luck, and you can do this. So I don't wish you good luck in this journey. I wish you the best of focus. Have a great night.